A woman whose husband is having an affair with her best friend uses black magic to make her partner suffer. However, the dark power summoned not only targets her husband, but also her. Every time she tries to change her destiny, greater terror comes. Her nights are filled with apparitions of astral beings who force her to choose, destroy her husband or save herself. In a small town, far from the hustle and bustle, there lived a woman named Evelyn Turner. She was a woman who seemed perfect with her husband named Jack, a successful businessman. Their life went smoothly, surrounded by luxury and happiness, but that happiness was lost when one day Evelyn found a secret message on Jack's cell phone revealing his affair with another woman. Devastated and hurt, Evelyn decided to find a way to get revenge for the betrayal. She went to a famous shaman who was said to be able to teach a harsh lesson to the betrayer. Without thinking, Evelyn decided to perform black magic with the aim of making Jack feel excruciating pain. However, shortly after the ritual was performed, strange events began to come to Evelyn's life. Every night, she began to hear strange sounds from inside her house, as if someone was calling her. Jack, who felt depressed, began to see apparitions of scary astral beings but could not explain what was happening. Not only that, the apparitions became clearer and more disturbing, causing their relationship to deteriorate further. Evelyn felt trapped in a force she could not control. Jack, who had previously seemed indifferent, now began to feel afraid and restless, but he felt there was no way out. Meanwhile, Evelyn began to feel the power of the ritual taking over her. Every time she tried to retreat, the pain she felt became more intense, as if the curse was attacking her too. It turned out that the black magic she did was not only targeting Jack, but also her. The dark power is getting stronger and starting to take over their lives, turning everything into unimaginable terror. Evelyn tries to find a way to stop this curse, but the terror is increasing. Will she be able to stop this terror, or will she be trapped in the curse forever? Don't miss the continuation in next part. The terror experienced by Evelyn and Jack is getting out of control. Every night, the apparition of the astral creature appears more often, dragging them into the invisible darkness. Evelyn, who is starting to lose control, feels that the curse they receive will not end, and as time goes on, Jack is increasingly separated from himself. Jack, feeling desperate, begins to seek help, but the more he searches, the more strange events haunt him. In the midst of his fear, he meets a man named Martin, who claims to know how to stop the curse. However, Martin warns that the price to pay is very high. Long story short, after getting help from Martin, Evelyn actually felt that her life was getting more and more plunged into darkness. She began to feel that there were other forces influencing her, and even Jack felt that they were both in a bigger game where they were just pawns who couldn't fight fate. The terror they felt seemed to never stop, getting deeper day by day. As time went on, the appearance of the astral beings became clearer, and this time they appeared with a more terrifying purpose. Unexpectedly, Evelyn's body began to feel excruciating pain, as if there was an invisible force that was slowly pulling her life away. Jack, who was panicking, tried everything to help, but nothing worked. Evelyn begins to feel that the creatures are not just apparitions, but have begun to possess her. Martin, who comes up with a solution, turns out to have a hidden intention. He reveals that to end the curse, someone must sacrifice the life of the person they love the most. Evelyn must now choose whether she will sacrifice Jack or herself. As Evelyn is cornered by this difficult choice, the creatures close in, waiting for the right moment to take their lives. The terror they feel grows, and the threat that haunts them grows. What will Evelyn do? Can she escape this curse, or will it destroy them both? Find out in next part. Evelyn feels cornered, with no way out of the curse that haunts them. After hearing Martin's terrible choice, she feels like her life is no longer hers. The terrible terror comes closer, and the two of them are increasingly trapped in a darkness that they cannot escape. However, a hope appears when Martin gives a clue that states the only way to stop the curse is to meet an old figure known as the Weeper. With hope dwindling, Evelyn and Jack decide to search for the Weeper, who lives in the dark woods outside of town. However, their journey is fraught with obstacles. Along the way, they begin to see strange shadows following them. It's as if someone is watching their every move, ready to attack at any moment. The tension builds as night falls, and they approach the forest area Martin mentioned. The cold night air makes them feel as if something is lurking around every corner. Jack, who is afraid, begins to feel the curse taking over him. Will they meet the Weeper, or will the curse destroy them first? As soon as they arrived in the middle of the forest, they were startled by the sound of crying coming from a distance. The sound sounded like a woman crying in pain. Evelyn felt another force calling them, leading them to the sound. However, when they followed the sound, they found an old grave buried under the roots of a very large tree. Without warning, suddenly the astral creature that had been bothering them emerged from the ground, surrounding them with a hideous face and deformed body. Jack, who began to panic, tried to fight back, but his body became weaker, as if the creature was starting to affect him. Evelyn felt suffocated by fear, but she knew that they could not retreat. Jack's screams break the silence of the forest as one of the astral beings begins to approach, and Evelyn feels the presence of the Weeper growing stronger. Is this the end of their journey? Or could the Weeper be their only hope of escaping this curse? The answers to these questions will be revealed in next part. As the astral being drew closer, Evelyn felt a presence stronger than before. Suddenly the cries grew louder, as if coming from underground, and before them appeared a figure of a woman in trousers and a black robe with her face covered by a veil. Evelyn recognized her as the Weeper, a figure who supposedly had the power to break the curse. However, the figure also warned them that there was a price to pay to free themselves from this curse. Martin, who had been following them from a distance, suddenly appears with an uneasy smile on his face. He explains that the Weeper is not only a deliverer, but also part of the curse they are experiencing. Martin then offers to help, but with one condition: Evelyn and Jack must be willing to sacrifice what they love most, even if it means destroying each other. Evelyn, who was surprised by the offer, felt confused and scared. Jack, who began to realize the situation, tried to fight Martin, but his body became weaker, as if the curse was starting to take his life. The astral beings that continued to surround them began to show clearer faces, with expressions full of hatred. Evelyn, who was caught between terrible choices, felt that her life would end in a more tragic way than she had imagined. The Weeper suddenly walked closer. The woman's cries became more intense, as if filling the air with gripping fear. It extends its hand to Evelyn and Jack and gives them a final choice. Give up someone's life to end the curse, or they will all be trapped forever in the same darkness. Evelyn looked at Jack with teary eyes, considering what he was going to do. As Jack was about to speak, a flash of light lit up the forest, and the last of the astral beings holding them screamed and disappeared into the darkness. But the terror was not over. In an instant, Evelyn's body was lifted into the air, surrounded by an unseen force. It turned out that the Weeper had a way to free them, but with far greater consequences. Evelyn and Jack are finally caught in an unavoidable choice. With the Weeper becoming more menacing and Martin looking more evil than ever, they don't know who to trust. Can they escape this curse alive? Or is there something even more terrifying waiting for them down the road? Next part. With the Weeper now standing before them, his hand reaching out to them filled with promise and threat, Evelyn and Jack felt their entire world turn upside down. With no other choice, they had to accept the offer, knowing that the consequences would be more dire than they could have ever imagined. But as Evelyn raised her hand to accept her fate, an unexpected force suddenly came, tearing apart the peace they had hoped for. Martin, who had previously offered to help, instead sheds his true face, revealing himself as the astral being who had been controlling their curse. The being explains that they have been trapped in its trap from the beginning, and there is no way out. Now they must choose, sacrifice each other or become part of the astral world from which they can never return. Evelyn, shocked by the betrayal, felt her body turned upside down, surrounded by darkness that was eating away at her soul. Jack, who saw Evelyn's suffering, screamed in anger, forcing his body to move against the will of the curse that bound him. It turned out that the sacrifice demanded was not only life, but sincerity that had to be released from both of them. In a powerful explosion of energy, Evelyn and Jack's bodies were lifted, the astral being that possessed them was destroyed, and the Weeper disappeared with a terrible cry. But their sacrifice was not without consequence. Jack fell to the ground, nearly losing his life while Evelyn lay motionless. Evelyn finally opened her eyes, seeing Jack trying to revive her, but she knew something was missing from her. The curse was over, but its effects were deep, leaving scars that could not be erased. They were both awake from the terrible terror, but their lives would never be the same again. Finally, they stand on an old grave they found in the woods, a place where they are both haunted by dark memories that almost destroyed them. With wounds in their hearts, they know that even though the curse is over, no one can truly escape the pain that has been left behind. As the Weeper said, there is no freedom without sacrifice. The curse is over, but what about the affair? Continue to the next part. After struggling through the terrible darkness, Evelyn finally decided to face the truth about Jack's betrayal. In front of her husband, who was no longer trapped by the curse, Evelyn voiced the pain that had been buried for so long. "I can't forget what you did, Jack," Evelyn said in a sob-filled voice. "You destroyed the trust that we've built over the years." Jack, now lying in bed, looked at her with regretful eyes. "I don't know how I can make you trust me again, Evelyn," he said regretfully. "I know I've ruined everything, but I promise I'll try to be a better person, even though I know it won't be easy." However, even though his words were sincere, Evelyn knew that words would not erase the pain in her heart that she had felt. Finally, Evelyn decided to reconsider. "I need time to heal myself," she said through tears. "I need to find who I am without you by my side." Jack sat weakly, feeling that Evelyn's departure was the result of his unjustified betrayal. He knew that despite his apologies, the wound was too deep to heal in an instant. In a gripping loneliness, Evelyn left the house that was filled with bitter memories and lies. She chose to live her own life for a while, leaving the past that haunted her. Every step she took carried a heavy burden, but she knew this was a journey to find herself again. Jack remained at home, alone with his regrets, hoping that one day he could show that he deserved a second chance. Time passed, and though they both tried to find their own way, the memories of the affair still haunted them. Evelyn began to find peace within herself, starting a new life. But Jack never gave up hope. Silently, he waited, praying that time could mend what he had broken, and that one day maybe Evelyn would forgive him. Ultimately, though they never truly found their way back together, they both learned to accept that some wounds just can't be healed quickly. But even though their hearts are still raw, they know that time and change are the keys to forgiveness, both for themselves and each other. Will they ever find their way back together? That's a mystery that only time can tell.